Hi everyone, greetings from New York City. My name is Marco Panascia and I play the double bass and the electric bass. I was born and raised in Italy and I've been living and working as a freelance bass player in the United States since 1999. I'm honored to have been a part of the Mark Bass family for the past 18 years and counting. I'm looking forward to delving into the 7 questions, so let's get started. So my first instrument was the piano. I started playing it when I was about 8 years old, and I took classical piano lessons for about 6 years. And then I started playing the electric bass when I was 16, and then the double bass when I was 20 years old. So I was kind of a late bloomer. But as a young kid, I didn't care much about the piano because I was more interested in playing soccer, just like most other kids growing up in Italy. But I'm very grateful for those years of piano lessons because they gave me an amazing foundation in both music theory and harmony. And they taught me how to read in bass clef, which was very, very beneficial when I started playing the bass later on. And I'm very grateful to John Patitucci because he was the one who lit that spark and inspired me to get started on the double bass when I was 20 years old. And this happened after I saw a concert of his trio in my hometown featuring John on acoustic bass, Joy Calderaz on piano, and Peter Erskine on drums. That was actually his first tour as a band leader. And some 20 years later, I had the opportunity to record an album in Los Angeles with jazz piano great Dado Moroni and Peter Erskine on drums. So I had to kind of pinch myself about this amazing professional opportunity, thinking back of how everything started for me as a young musician in Italy, being in the audience during that concert that featured Peter Erskine on drums. Oh gosh, my first bass amplifier was this really bulky amp by this Italian company named Montalbo, which I'm not even sure if the company still exists anymore. But that amplifier weighed a ton and it did not sound very good. But hey, got me started in the game, so I'm grateful. I've been blessed to have a long career that has allowed me to play both the upright bass and the electric bass in a variety of different styles. And I've toured in 5 different continents over the past couple of decades. So it's a bit of a challenge to pinpoint some specific moments that have excited me more than others. But a couple of experiences have definitely made their mark in my memories. The first one happened in August of 2001 at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles, California, right before 9/11 happened. I was there as part of an orchestra accompanying Diane Reeves and Shirley Horn, 2 legendary jazz vocalists that I'm sure you all know. And there were 18,000 people in the audience. Wow, I'd never played for that many people. So that was definitely an experience that I will never forget. Another key moment, incidentally, it happened at the same venue. It's still at the Hollywood Bowl a few years later. It was 2005. And at the time, I was touring with young jazz pianist, virtuoso, Eldar Jangirov, and we were promoting our latest album for Sony, which had gotten a Grammy nomination. We were back at the Hollywood Bowl basically to perform at the Playboy Jazz Festival, which at the time was emceed by Bill Cosby. And I remember that a couple of days before the show, Eldar wrote a very involved new composition, which was, very difficult and like 7 pages long. And I did not have the time to memorize it before the show. So I had to read it down during the show. I was trying to do my best, with the music in front of me, but Bill Cosby just kept coming near me, and he was giving me a hard time. Oh no, you're not supposed to be reading a chart, in this concert, that kind of thing. And I was there totally like freaking out about it, but I did my best and got it done. And then when we were backstage at the end of the show, we both had a good laugh about it. And one more last, exciting career moment that I'd like to talk about happened just a few months ago at The Lion King, which is a musical theater show on Broadway that I've been subbing at for the past few years. So basically, towards the end of the show, a stage prop that depicts a rising sun started malfunctioning, basically got stuck. So the whole orchestra in the pit was stuck on a single fermata, on a single long note for about 15 minutes, which is the amount of time that it took the tech crew to fix this malfunctioning prop of the rising sun. So, during those 15 minutes, the orchestra spontaneously created an amazing musical moment. Basically, what we did was to play that sustained note, but kind of creating ebbs and flows and sort of like mimicking the waves of the ocean, kind of going up and down. And we all did it with just one single note for about 15 minutes. It was all improvised, and it was definitely an experience that I will never forget. Oh man, that's a really tough one. The list is really, really, really long, especially because I've never stuck with one single music scene, but I've been active in several ones. So I've collaborated with jazz musicians, with classical musicians, pop musicians, Broadway musicians, R&B musicians, Latin musicians, and so forth. So I could mention some names, but I'd feel bad about forgetting all the other ones that are just as important. So I'd rather just send you guys to my website, which is marcopanascia.com. And on that website, you'll find all my collaborations listed there with 0 omissions. Well, let's see. I moved from Italy to the United States in 1999, and a few years later, I started attending the NAMM show in Anaheim, Southern California. I don't remember exactly how my connection with Marco De Vigilis and Riccardo Damiani happened. I'm talking about the CEO and the artist rep for the company. But it did happen there at the NAMM show in 2005. And I believe that the company had recently rebranded itself from Parsec to Markbase, maybe a year or two before. I remember trying one of their early amps right there at the NAMM show and being blown away by their sound quality and their lightweight. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is the brand of bass amp that I want to keep using for the rest of my life. And as they say, the rest is history. Oh wow, that's a tough one to answer, because in my 18 years of being associated with Markbase, I've pretty much tried or owned the majority of the products that they have been putting out over time. As a full-time doubler who plays electric and upright bass equally, I really enjoy the fact that Markbase products sound phenomenal for both types of basses, which is not something that can be said for many other leading brands on the market. You know that there are some brands that sound great on the electric bass, but they do not sound good on upright, or vice versa. But Markbase really has this gift of sounding incredible for both instruments, which for me is an amazing selling point as a doubler. And anyways, when it comes to my Markbase gear of choice, for smaller and medium-sized venues, I've been faithful to my CMD 121P combo amp with a 12-inch speaker for the past 18 years. I played it all over the world and never get tired of it. Sounds amazing. And but I've also been using the Mini Mark or the Micro Mark on occasion for smaller venues or like rehearsals or what have you. And lately I've also enjoyed using my AC 101H by the sister brand Mark Acoustic, which has a 10-inch speaker, and it has two separate channels. So it's really nice to use for the upright bass because you can use a pickup and a mic and routing them to the two different channels. And you can blend the sound of the mic and the sound of the pickup right on board by mixing the two different channels, right there on your amplifier, which is pretty amazing. And when it comes to bigger venues, I still have an old LMK two-channel head that I like to couple with a traveler cabinet with two 10-inch speakers. And if I need an extra power, I have an additional 112 speaker that I can use together with the two 10s, and that pretty much takes care of all bigger venues. I haven't had a chance to try out the new line of products that was launched last year, the ultra lightweight MB58R line, but I've read and heard so many amazing reviews about them, and I honestly cannot wait to get my hands on them, hopefully as soon as possible. And one last thing I want to mention, since we're talking about Mark Bass gear, let's not forget that Mark Bass has started making electric basses too. And I want to talk about this wonderful Gloxy 5-string bass, which has become my favorite bass for recording sessions in the studio or in my home studio, and for all my work on Broadway. This bass is truly a winner, and it is very moderately priced. So I highly recommend that you check it out. It's really fantastic. What I enjoy the most about being a Mark Bass artist is that I really get to feel that I'm part of a family. I get to tour often around the world, and Ricardo, our amazing artist rep, always makes sure that there's a great Mark Bass amp lined up for me for each tour or each venue, wherever that might be. Because Mark Bass is truly everywhere. I mean, at this point, it's the most recognizable brand of bass amplifiers worldwide. And you can imagine what an amazing honor it is for me to be associated with this brand. And also I'd like to give a special shout out to Marco De Virgilis, the founder and CEO of Mark Bass, and express my deep appreciation for his support over the years. He's a genius, constantly invested in innovation, never resting on his laurels. And I feel really, really lucky to be able to have a personal working relationship with him. So thank you, Marco. Grazie mille, veramente. I'm really, really grateful to be part of the Mark Bass family. And I look forward to many more years of collaborating together, hopefully on new products. And I thank you all for checking out this 7-question interview, and keep rocking.